Good afternoon. Welcome Heritage Bay members, including those here in person and those viewing later online, to the second of two town hall meetings for membership review, comments, and questions about the proposed revisions to the master governing documents. This town hall is being presented by the Master Documents Revision Ad Hoc Committee. I'm Mary Jo Deagle. I'm the committee chair and the vice president of the board. This town hall is being videotaped for review by the membership. Please, if I could ask everyone as a courtesy, silence all cell phones. First, I will give an overview about what will be presented today. Today's town hall will be similar to our previous town hall on January 28th. Could I first please see a show of hands of those who had attended the first town hall? I see we have some, and those who have reviewed the PowerPoint posted online. Thank you. So several of you here have already seen it, so this will be a recap. I won't go in as much detail as the first town hall, but there are new people, so we will also go through some of the things that we covered in the first town hall. So please follow along on our agenda handed out today and available online along with the PowerPoint presentation, which will be posted online. First, I'll give introductions, then present the PowerPoint on our screen, during which our association counsel, Christopher Davies, will repeat some important concepts from the first town hall. After the PowerPoint, it will be open for member comments and questions. We will have staff members with microphones to assist members. Please wait until the end of the PowerPoint presentation for your questions and comments. To assist discussion, please direct your comments and questions to the revisions made in the master governing documents. You're welcome to make comments about any of the revisions, but it would be most helpful if you also focused on the latest revisions in the second working drafts. Lastly, I will make closing remarks and thank everyone involved in this important project and ask you to support our efforts by voting to approve this proposal, which vote will take place on April 25th at the annual membership meeting. So we'll have the introduction of committee members and association counsel, the PowerPoint presentation, mention of the resolution or the motion that's going to be submitted to the Board of Directors on March 14th at the board meeting. The membership vote of approval, again, will be at the annual meeting on April 25th. You're going to be receiving limited proxies, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Then we'll have our open discussion about comments and questions on the proposed revisions. Today is our final revision requests to be submitted. So we've been receiving them through web link comments and occasionally an email. So we appreciate all the input that everyone has given till today. And then I'll give closing remarks. And as a reminder, we do need a 2/3 vote of approval, so we would appreciate your support. So I'd like to introduce the committee members who are present here today, and those are Jim Lemons. If you'd like just to stand briefly so we can see you. There you are. Mr. Tom Bava. Mr. Michael Schmidt. Michelle, Claudette Azar-Kenyon is also a committee member. She was not able to come today. And then Christopher Davies is our association counsel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
I would also like to thank our general manager, Bob Staley, our club manager, Matt Renner, and Stephanie McIntosh, our director of administrative services. As you can see, the committee members who I've introduced to you represent all 4 neighborhood associations and include 4 current master board directors and a volunteer member who is not a director. As you can also see, 4 persons are involved are attorneys. All of us, with assistance from management staff, have been working in concert with our association council. So what is the history and purpose of the Master Documents Review Ad Hoc Committee? And when I use the term master documents, it is shorthand for our master governing documents of the association, those being the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, the Articles of Incorporation, and the bylaws. And what vote percentage from the membership is required to approve the proposed revised master documents. Well, the committee was created by the Board of Directors back in April of 2018. So we've been working a long time and diligently on this project. The purpose is to recommend changes to the master documents after review by committee members and with assistance from Association Counsel. Association Counsel has been the keeper of all of the documents and the revisions made, so there is only one place where those changes are being made, and they are controlled by our Association Counsel's office. To submit a recommendation to the Heritage Bay Board of Directors at their meeting on March 14th. We're going to ask them to approve a vote of the membership on the documents that have been revised at the general membership annual meeting on April 25th. And again, we do require a 2/3 vote of approval to pass these documents. So we need your vote from the community. Now, what master documents are being proposed for revisions, and what master documents, in order of document hierarchy and authority, has the committee been working on with Association Counsel? Well, those are the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions and Restrictions, again, the Articles of Incorporation, and again, our bylaws. Our Association Counsel, Christopher Davies, is going to briefly explain again the function and purpose of our master governing documents, the 3 specific documents the committee has been working on for a membership vote: Declaration, Articles, Bylaws. We also have rules and regulations, but those are not being submitted for a membership vote, and revisions are not being made to those. And he'll also explain what amendment and restatement of entire documents means, as opposed to simply amending provisions in certain documents.
Thank you, MJ. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to be here again. MJ asked me to talk about what the slide that's up now. You have these various documents, 4 different categories. The Declaration. Declaration is the thickest of the documents. It is really essentially the Constitution, as it says up there. Well, what does that mean? It's essentially where your property rights are, the things that are to do with such things like use restrictions, what you can and cannot do with your property, leasing, architectural control, assessments, insurance, easements, real solid property rights. The Articles of Incorporation is the thinnest of the documents. It's only a few pages long. And that's necessary because every community association, like Heritage Bay, must be a corporation not-for-profit in the state of Florida. And really all that does is it essentially incorporates Heritage Bay Golf and Country Club, Inc. as a Florida corporation. It's probably the document that gets ignored the most. It does have some important provisions in it because the powers and authorities are spelled out there. We have some language in that document that says that the association's board will have all of the authority of a nonprofit corporation, along with those provisions specifically spelled out in this document, or if there are exceptions to what's in the statute, that's also spelled out in the Articles of Incorporation. That takes a couple of pages, talks about some other things about how many directors there are and what have you. But there's more detail about that in the 3rd document, and that is the bylaws. That's kind of in the middle in terms of size. It's probably about 15 pages long. And that is on, as the slide says, that's about procedures. That's about things like voting, meetings, how much notice to give of a board meeting or of a membership meeting. It talks in there about fiscal matters and the election of directors, other items, the order of business for these types of meetings. And then finally we have a category, we have another item there in the categories there, rules and regulations. Really a little different. You could almost draw a line under Declaration, Articles, and Bylaws. Rules and regulations, the big difference is that they are adopted by the Board of Directors. We provide notice of the rules and regulations to the members so they know about what's going on. But all of the other documents, the Declaration, the Articles, and the Bylaws, require a vote of the membership at large to approve. But rules and regulations, may be approved by the Board of Directors, provided that they do not contravene any right that's set forth in the other documents that you all vote on. And then we put all this package together, and you will be able to, if you want to keep them for historical purposes, you can, but you could actually throw out the old documents if you really wanted to. I know people like me like to seem like they keep every piece of paper that we've ever touched or read, but you will have what's called an amendment and restatement, because all of the documents will now be rewritten into one document, which is what you said. I saw several hands go up that you've looked at this information on the website. So you'll have sort of one continuous document. The declaration, articles, bylaws will all be there updated. So there's no real reason then to refer to the current documents, which will become old, assuming that you all vote on April the 25th, is that right? And we have a sufficient number of votes in to pass these documents. And with that, I'll hand it back to MJ.
Why is it important for Heritage Bay to revise and update these 3 master governing documents? Well, our master documents were filed and prepared by the developer Lennar way back beginning in 2005. Since then, they've been amended piecemeal, and we're pretty much left with multiple document revisions and amendments. They're unwieldy and at times confusing if you try to read through them. And it is recommended generally that community associations update their governing documents every 10 years. It's 2019, so we are well overdue. Our current master documents are outdated and unwieldy. The amended and restated master documents will be voted on together as a package because they're all linked together, and if approved, they would look like this. Second amended and restated declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Amended and restated articles of incorporation. And second amended and restated bylaws. Again, these documents are linked and will be presented for a vote as a package. The result, if approved by our membership, will be to replace this with these. As members, what should you expect from our revised master documents? Well, we believe you're going to be able to better understand and more easily review your documents. We have consolidated all of those prior amendments for each document into one document. We wanted to make sure that the revised documents reflected any current federal, state, and local laws by conferring with our association council. We wanted to omit the outdated reference to the developer declarant. It's been a long time since turnover. We don't need that language in there anymore. We strove to clarify any potentially confusing provisions or language in those provisions from the last restated and amended documents. We sought to correct errors and omissions. And we also sought to improve and more accurately reflect the operations of our club since developer turnover. These are our documents. We want them to represent our community, not necessarily Lennar. Prior to today, the committee has posted numerous documents on the committee webpage so that you would have the opportunity to view these before today. So what was on the committee webpage? We had the second working drafts. They followed the first working drafts, which we discussed at the first town hall. The first revisions remained in red and blue. The red lined out means deletions. The blue was language that was added in. Now the second working drafts The revisions are in green, so you can distinguish between the first and second drafts. We also posted clean copies and an index to all the documents, and the declaration has bookmarks if you download it to your computer, and you'll be able to see the PDF bookmarks. With those, we posted an updated document revision summary, and we also put the newer revisions in green to match those in the second working draft. There was also a web link for member comments and questions about revisions, and we've attempted to respond to all web link comments as promptly as possible, and we have responded to all, and we thank you for those. And then the first town hall presentation and the PowerPoint. So all that's been available prior to today's town hall. So the committee has strived to be as clear and transparent as possible to the membership in this process, including the proposed revisions themselves and the process that we've undertaken. Prior to the first town hall and the second town hall, the committee not only has posted online, as I indicated, the edited and clean versions of the revised documents, but also an updated document revision summary. Now, the document revision summary is a guide. It's not a substitute for reading the documents themselves. You will note that the committee color-coded these revisions from the first to the second working drafts, so the membership can more easily see the progression of revisions from the first to second. Member comments and suggestions for revisions. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, today is a deadline for further revision requests. To date, the committee has compiled, vetted, and made several member-suggested revisions in green in the second working drafts posted online. Now, we e-blasted a notice of posting those second working drafts and the second town hall being held today on March 4th. We e-blasted it out to the community on February 26th. The committee next meets on Wednesday, March 6th of this week. We're going to finalize the documents and then have a vote to recommend to the master board that they be submitted to the membership for a vote of approval. We've considered all of the web link comments and all of the emails we've received. The suggestions we received at certain times were suggesting major policy changes. The committee has not recommended those major policy changes at this time, but we are keeping those for future consideration. Remember, these are living documents, so we still can make those adjustments as necessary. Again, our goal is a 2/3 approval by the membership. What will the final revisions of the revised master documents look like, and when will they be posted online for membership review? Well, the final versions of all three proposed amended and restated documents will be posted as edited. We've called these red-lined. I use the word edited because the final versions are not going to be in red type. But the red-lined or edited means that the language deleted is lined out. You'll be able to see that, and any language added is underlined. So we'll be clear, it just won't be color-coded. And then there'll also be a clean version. All language in the edited and clean versions will be in black type. And both versions are going to be posted on our committee webpage, both prior to the March 14th Board of Directors meeting, and assume that they are approved for a membership vote, they will be posted again after March 14th for the membership vote on April 25th. Again, assuming the Board of Directors accepts the committee's recommendation, I'd now like to talk briefly about the membership vote that will take place, when it will take place, how to vote, and what materials the membership will be receiving to vote on this proposal. You do not have to be present on April 25th to vote. What's called a limited proxy form, which is used to record your vote for the master documents, was going to be mailed to all members in a packet with a second notice of annual membership meeting. And that's going to be sent to you 30 days before the membership annual meeting on April 25th. You're going to make a check on this limited proxy form, which will indicate your vote, whether to approve all 3 documents. We hope you will. And then you need to sign that proxy form. Then you take your proxy form, put it in the proxy envelope, make sure it's signed. There will be instructions included if you have any questions. And then you'll want to send it back right away. You want to make sure the form is received before the 2 o'clock April 25th meeting. Now, what documents will the members receive with their limited proxy? And, assuming that they are approved, what will happen with the documents? If you recall, you will have received an e-blast, an email from administration asking to give your written consent for electronic notices. We thank all of those who were able to return those notices giving their consent. So those members who gave their written consent to receive notices electronically, you'll receive a hard copy of that limited proxy with instructions to review all proposed, amended, and restated documents that are posted online. Those who did not give their written consent, you will again receive a hard copy of the limited proxy, and you'll receive a hard copy of the edited versions. Remember, they will be lined out and underlined, of the amended and restated documents. However, members may request hard copies of any documents from management. If approved by the membership vote of 2/3, all 3 documents then will be recorded individually, each one, with Collier County, and those will become the newly amended and restated governing documents for Heritage Bay Golf and Country Club. As Mr. Davies explained, you'll be able to throw the old ones out. I'm now concluding the PowerPoint presentation, and members are encouraged to make comments and ask questions about the proposed revisions. Again, please direct these comments and questions to the revisions in the documents posted online. If you can identify the document and section, that's very helpful, but don't worry about it. But we do plan to highlight on the screen whatever provision that you are asking about. If you have a question or comment, please raise your hand and management will come to you with a microphone. Please remember this is videotaped, so please speak clearly as concisely as you can. You do not have to identify your name, but please give us your neighborhood association because that would be very helpful. And then after our comment and questions session is over, I'm going to give brief closing remarks. Again, the discussion will be about our declaration, articles of incorporation, and bylaws. So I would like to thank all the membership for your participation, input, and your vote approval, hopefully, and to all the committee members, association council, and management for everyone's hard work.
So basically, I wanted to know how many votes are for the single-family homes, how many votes are for the verandas, how many votes are for the townhouse, and how many votes are for the terrace.
So you're asking how many votes for each individual neighborhood association are available. Okay, so those are actually, and thank you, Michelle Anderson, those are actually listed in the declaration in section 11.5. Are we able to pull that up, Matt? And while he's doing that, thank you for your question. And there is, I'll just recap generally, which we have 1,250 units, and there is 1 vote per living unit. And
what section this is?
That is 11.5, voting groups. And this is located, sir, in the declaration. Yes, sir. And hopefully Matt can make these a little larger. And so in that section 11.5, you'll see the listing of the voting groups for the neighborhoods. And if we can go up to the first one there, Matt. So you'll see voting group 1, the following neighborhoods. And then we have the terraces listed. And then you'll see the number of living units next to each of the terrace, which there are 9 terraces, for example. And then there's a total at the bottom which says 450 living units. There was 1 vote per living unit. So within that voting group, there are 450 available votes. And Matt, if you can scroll down a little bit. So now we have voting group 2. The following neighborhoods are the verandas. Voting group 3 is the coach homes. And if you can scroll down one more page, we will see voting group 4 is the single family homes. And for each one of these, sir, you'll see the total number of living units. So if you go to that page in the declaration, you will be able to see the number of total votes per voting group per neighborhood association. Thank you. If anybody has any questions about our system of voting, that is explained in the declaration. We did not change our voting system.
That's the point I wanted you to make.
Yes, so Chris, why don't you just make a couple comments about that?
Yeah. It's a good question, but it's important to understand that that is not a change that is being considered in the rewrite of these documents. All right, so we just incorporated the existing language. Committee, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding, is that this is not, I don't want anyone to think that that's a material change that we're making and asking you to consider when you vote on April 25th. There's no change to that. It is what you already have as of today.
Yes, sir.
I hate to ask this, but if I registered or ticked off for internet, how do I find it if
Okay, sir, I'm not quite clear on your question. Are you asking, did you return a written consent for electronic notices?
Don't remember.
You don't recall? Perhaps you would be able to check with Donna at the front desk, and she would be able to tell you whether you did.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments from anyone here?
I've seen some comments online that these are substantive changes. I assume that they were just administrative changes. There was nothing substantive in these, in the changes. Am I correct or incorrect? And council addressed for me whether or not there are substantive changes within these documents.
Okay, thank you for your question. So I want to make sure we don't get caught up in the terminology. The committee has not and is striven not to incorporate or make any substantial policy changes in any of the documents. So the changes, as I reviewed them on the PowerPoint, were meant to do those particular things. They were not meant to change substantially in any way any policies of the club. So I can confirm that with you, and Association Council, I believe that you would be able to confirm that as well.
Yes, and that's why we've done a red line version. So.
Yes, and we provided a red line version, so you'll be able to review all the changes that are made. Thank you. Another question and comment, please.
Are you considering any further changes other than what you're showing us here today? You said that the committee is going to meet in several days, and with the finalized draft, are you considering anything that hasn't already been redlined or added to the changes you've made here?
Yes, thank you. Prior to today, and we did post and ask for further member comments for any revisions, we are going to meet on March 6th. There may be some edits, some additional edits that were brought to our attention that we will make. And that is the case. We're going to discuss in the committee how we're going to make those clear to the community when we post. So if there are any, those will be made clear on the website, and they will be incorporated into the final revisions given to the board of directors And that also will be posted online for the membership to review prior to the March 14th board meeting. So if you have any additional questions about any additional revisions, you'll be able to see those and you will be able to contact us.
Can you share with us today what's been recently suggested and what you're going to consider so that we might comment on that, on those changes?
That's really difficult to do because we've had some input from members, but that's really going to be part of the agenda on the meeting on Wednesday. And so to put those forward right now would really be unclear because we haven't really gelled all that together at this point. But what we have to this point is everything that was received up until the posting of the second working documents on February 26th.
Is that meeting on Wednesday an open meeting?
Our meetings have always been open. They've been posted according to all the requirements under the committee policy procedure manual. We've had guests who have attended. They're always open. And we've all posted our minutes also. Yes, another question?
First of all, I want to thank you for all the hard work that went into the compilation of these documents. It's long overdue and critically necessary.
Thank you.
For this organization. I have one question about how many of our members have not signed up to be notified electronically.
I do not have that figure.
What effort do we have underway to reach out and get them on board for electronic notification?
Yeah, we emailed, called them, made every effort to contact those. And we have left 146.
Okay. Thank you very much. I know administration has made great efforts to contact everyone multiple times about whether they consent to give authorization for electronic notices. We do have 1,250 units, so even though we have a small number left, I think that's a very good representative return from our members.
And may I say that we've worked on it for months. We've done everything but knocked on their doors.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. I just wanted to comment that the second working revisions, which have the green edits in them that you were able to see recently posted, that those were the edits that have been made up until now and since the first draft of the working documents were posted. And I just wanted to add a little bit more of that information to the previous question that the gentleman asked. And we have another question.
Yes. In your document here, you say you need 2/3 vote for approval.
Yes, sir.
So we need 2/3 of every member, or we need 2/3 of the prorated people that vote. In other words, I understood that, like my terrace unit, if it votes, 40 people vote yay, and the other 20 don't vote, that would be 60 affirmative votes. Is that the way this is going to be counted, or do we actually need 1,200 or 2/3 of 1,250 votes?
Thank you. I'm going to ask Jim Lemons to respond to that.
You were absolutely correct that if you get 40 yes votes and 20 that don't vote, then the final vote will be 60 yes votes. So the final vote will be 1,250 votes, and we need 2/3 of them.
Thank you for that question. And I should note at the first town hall, there was a question, have the members ever rejected a request or at a vote to amend our documents? And the answer is no. That every time we have come to our membership and asked to amend the documents, they have voted for it. So right now, we have 100% batting average. So we are hoping that that will continue. That will result in our new documents being approved. Do we have another question?
Now, I'm confused by that question. So if they abstain from voting, they're counted as a yes vote? That's what I understand, or am I wrong?
Okay, I'm going to ask Jim to clarify that also for this individual. Thank you, sir.
Within each neighborhood association, people will vote yes, no, or not vote. When we get ready to tally votes, we will look at what percentage of the people voted yes, and multiply that percentage times the total number of units in that neighborhood association, and that number will be cast yes, and the remainder will be cast no. So if you don't vote, your vote will essentially be cast in the same ratio as your neighbor's vote. If your neighbors vote 3-to-1 in favor of it, then your vote will be 3-to-1 in favor of it.
Does that answer your question now, sir?
No, as I said, I'm very poor at math, so.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, what I would ask, if you have an additional question to clarify that, please see one of us after the meeting. But I just want to repeat that the information about the voting process was merely as a background. We have not made any changes to how the voting occurs. Okay?
MJ, I don't believe that if you put that question to 1,250 members, there weren't 50 people who could explain that system that Jim Lemons just clearly explained. I think that that needs to be in bold print on top of the ballot to explain precisely what you just explained, Jim. Because I would believe that our membership has no clue about that proportionality of the vote, even though I agree with you that that's what the bylaws say now. I just don't believe our members understand.
Thank you, sir. And I'm not sure that we are allowed to put information of that type on a ballot. Chris, do you have any information on that?
I'm reluctant to change anything because it might be construed as a change that we're considering as part of this vote. This is the way you've been doing this now, Jim, for a number of years, right?
Actually,
just one year. Okay, I apologize, I didn't have that, state that accurately, but this is the current system.
Yep.
We need to educate our members as to how the voting is handled. It's clearly understood by those people who will be involved in counting these votes. Look, I understand that there's a position that you can take that is a little complicated mathematically, but it's certainly understood by the members of the board and by management. And as far as the voters are concerned, you're either going to vote yes or no and let them deal with how it's calculated. If that is substantively, if there's an issue there that we need to look at some point in time in the future, that's a different question. But my understanding is that we had a lot of debate about this in the past, and that sort of ship has sailed, so to speak, because that was debated and voted on and approved. It's not on the agenda for the April 25th meeting, and I think it might be confusing, in my opinion, to add that as to how voting is conducted. If people want to see that, they should look at the various provisions of the Declaration of Bylaws and understand it that way, or talk to management or one of the board members. But it doesn't really affect how you vote. You vote yes or no and let somebody else worry about how it's calculated.
Is there a minimum amount of votes needed for approval? I don't mean like 2/3, but I mean to go forth with this process. Is there a minimum amount in regards to the bylaws?
Okay, so again, this goes to the calculation, and I thank you for these questions, but we wanted to focus a little bit more on the actual revisions in the documents themselves, but I welcome your question, and Jim, perhaps you could answer that again.
Yeah, the real answer is no. There is no minimum. We have a requirement of a 30% quorum, but because of the ratio factor, it's kind of irrelevant because we always end up with 100%.
Thank you. And again, really the important point here is we ask that you support and vote yes. And if you could help us with that and support us in that, I think everything else will take care of itself. Do you have any additional questions?
I need to ask a lawyer a question and say that he's wrong, but I think there are three categories: yes, no, or people who don't care and do not vote.
Well, the ballot will be phrased as to approve or not approve would be yes or no. Do we have any questions about the revisions, the suggested revisions in the documents posted online? All right, I don't see any further hands. I want to thank everyone for your questions and comments. In closing, I want to thank everyone involved in this important master governing document revision process. Today's second town hall, it's been videotaped, will be posted online on the committee's webpage. The next important dates, which are posted in the timeline on the committee webpage, are the following. On Wednesday, March 6th at 3 p.m., the committee will have a meeting, and we're going to finalize the revisions and vote on recommending to the board to submit the proposed revised, amended, and restated governing documents to the membership for a vote on April 25th. Friday, March 8th. That's our deadline to turn in our finalized documents to administration, to Stephanie, and those will be posted online and provided to the board of directors in their meeting packets so they'll be able to see those, and they will be posted online for all the membership to review. Thursday, March 14th, that's the board of directors meeting when we will ask the board to approve our recommendation to submit the documents for a membership vote. Either March 25th or 26th, whatever 30 days works out to be before the vote, the proxy forms will be sent to all members. And then April 25th, of course, at 2 p.m., that's the annual membership meeting, and that is the vote on the proposed revised, amended, and restated master governing documents. The calculation of the proxy forms then will be made at that time. And hopefully, we will have a 2/3 vote of approval, and we ask kindly for your support, and thank you for your input. I thank the committee for all of its hard work, for administration, and for Association Council's steady advice. Thank you.